Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Angie Pascotto, joined by Stephen Hackbarth. And today we have a very special guest, Robert Wooden from Fixed Ops Intel. Thank you for joining us, Robert.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Angie.
Now, Robert, you've been in this game for quite some time. What, 30 years?
Yeah, I've been doing warranty uplifts for, this is our 29th year, so almost 30 years.
Right. So, within warranty uplifts, what have you seen as far as the progression, the changes in this industry? What have you seen as of late?
Yeah, so, when we first started out doing this a long time ago, really the state laws, there was only a couple states that had what they call retail rate laws. And over the years, now all states have at least some version of a retail rate law. Some are very well written, others are a little more vague. And so we're seeing some of those states tighten it up, make it a little bit better for the dealers. But there's some states that still need to work on that. And, one of the things that I would really encourage the dealers and the state dealers associations are to work on tightening up those laws, because what's happening now of late is the manufacturers are exploiting some of the vagueness and the loopholes that are existing in the current laws to be a little more aggressive. And in fact, a lot of the manufacturers are starting to ignore the law and just do whatever they want to do and be really a lot more aggressive. So that's something we're seeing lately. And you may have seen, and I'm sure some of the dealers have seen, the class action lawsuit with Ford over the EV batteries. And that is a perfect example of what's happening is they're ignoring the law. They're trying on the dealers. They're going to just see what the dealers will tolerate. And a lot of our clients, some of them are relenting to that pressure. What I try and tell the dealers, our clients, is, get your house in order, make sure you're doing things properly, and stand your ground, because the laws are there for a reason. They're there to protect the dealers and help them be more profitable. And those are the things that we're seeing recently that are changing in our little part of the world.
And I can imagine that's why it's very important for when someone is looking for an uplift to use a company like yours, to use an outside source. Speak to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, a couple things that we get asked quite a bit is, why can't I just have my manager do it?
Yeah.
Right. And we all know that managers are busy dealing with customers and employees and the factory. There's a lot of things that they're having to juggle every day. So, I would say a couple things, knowledge, experience, focus, and having the proper tools. So knowledge and experience, again, we would hope over 30 years we've got knowledge and experience.
I'd say so.
And then the focus, right? So this is our job. We have a team that's dedicated strictly to doing this. And then the proper tools. Again, we fixed Ops Intel. We specifically designed that to do warranty uplifts and to make that process quicker, easier, more efficient, and more accurate. So those are the things I would say to a dealer that is looking at a vendor to do this. And then the last thing I would say is, look at the pricing model that vendor has. Some of them are going to charge a percentage or take a percentage of the increase. Other vendors are going to ask you to sign a long-term coaching contract or those kind of things. Those are things that we don't do. We charge a flat fee. And if we're there, if our dealer partners need us, we're certainly are there to help them and give them additional help. But we don't lock them into any kind of a contract to do that.
That's great. And I recently saw a very impressive case study from Fixed Ops Intel. Can you talk to me a little bit about that and share that with me?
Yeah, so we had a dealer group that we've been doing business with for quite a while. And, last year we kind of, at the end of the year, always look back on the previous year and say, hey, what do we do? And so we just looked at that one dealer group and totaled it up and figured out that it was $48 million in 2025 for that one dealer group that we were able to get them in additional net profit. So 29 million, 29 million in labor and 19
Million.
million.
Okay.
Million.
Just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Million. And that's every year going forward. So
Does
29
this dealer
million in
invite
labor.
you to Christmas and Thanksgiving?
They're very good. They're very good partners. We appreciate them very much.
Absolutely.
And then, some of the other data that we have coming out of that is their average store, their rate after we did the increase was almost $196, and the average store was 75.5% on parts. And that's across all of last year. So that kind of gives you a perspective of what can happen.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
You mentioned earlier about getting the house in order. Okay, so do you have any advice for managers out there that are looking to improve their parts and labor rate ahead of a warranty uplift?
Yeah, it's a great question, Stephen. So we talk about this a lot. Getting your house in order really is making sure that you're using the proper opcodes, and I'm talking directly to service managers and service directors, making sure that the advisors are using the proper opcodes, the proper labor types. And why do we say that? Well, because in our system, Fixed Ops Intel, that's one of the very first things that's going to look at. It's going to look at the labor type. It's going to look at the description of the opcode to start filtering out and trying to get down to those repair orders that are going to yield the most amount of money. So those kind of things. Documentation is huge. Making sure that they're putting it on the repair order if an extended warranty paid for it, if a third party paid for it, aftermarket parts, all kinds of information. So they really have to be detailed about what the advisors are putting onto those invoices. And, it really goes back to the basics of service management is, when I started service managing, your job every morning was to get yesterday's repair orders and look through those and make sure that things are documented properly. And I think in the digital age, there's a lot of things going on like we talked about before, and they tend to get pulled away from those basic functions. And if I'm a manager looking through those repair orders, I'm going to pick those things out and say, hey, you didn't document this properly, and really get the team doing what they're supposed to be doing. Those, executing the basics is going to help you in the long run getting a better rate increase.
Yeah,
Because it's all about
absolutely.
the documentation.
Yeah, and you speak about fundamentals and their importance. Now, what's been popping up all over the industry is the talk of artificial intelligence, which might not be fundamentals based. What advice can you give us on that?
Yeah, so AI, of course, is the buzzword. And when we started building Fixed Ops Intel, that is a core tenet of what we do. We use AI for the analysis, and we continue to build in more AI into it. Right now we're in the middle of building a portion that will make onboarding customers faster and easier, so we can get that data and our customers on our system much quicker with training and other things. So we're really excited about AI. It's a great tool, and obviously we see it's changing the industry and changing the world, and we're glad to be part of that.
That's
Yeah,
great
absolutely.
advice. Yeah.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for your time today. Fixed Ops Intel, everyone. So, if our audience wants to learn more about Fixed Ops Intel and the services you provide, where can they go to get more information?
Yeah, if you go on the web, you just Google warranty uplift, and we're there.
Excellent. Well, I'm Angie Pascotto, joined by Stephen Hackbarth and Robert Wooden. Thank you so much for tuning in. This and more coming from the Fixed Ops Roundtable.